watching SKST Radio.
Well, welcome to another episode of SKST Radio, Real Talk with Cami, Grayson, and friends. And my co-host with me today is...
Rome Foster.
Hey, Rome, welcome back. You know,
Definitely.
yeah. So it's good to see you. You're looking good.
Well,
Life,
thank you.
life's
You're
treating
looking
you
great over there
great.
too.
Well, thank you. I'm all natural today, No, I'm
And
saying
I'm
you're looking good. So life's treating you
getting my
well.
gray.
Well, I like it. I like it.
Everything's going good. Yeah, can't
Good.
complain.
Good. Well, I know we've been discussing and talking about different subjects, but this one particular subject today, it was just something that I felt like we really need to address on the
Hmm.
show because it hit close to home, you know, and
It
it's
did.
yeah, and so it's I just want to give my opinion, you give your opinion. I mean, and please,
Definitely.
guys, keep in mind this is just our opinions. It's not that we're
Hmm.
psychologists or anything like that. It's just that we observe, we're human, and we want to be safe, and we want to make everybody else aware of different things that's happening and what's going on out there.
Definitely.
Yep. So you want to start?
Yes. So the subject that we're speaking about today is just kidnappings. Kidnappings mainly. Do you want to call it that?
Yeah,
Um,
kidnappings and trafficking. That's what I posted.
and
Kidnapping
trafficking.
and trafficking.
So, you guys, there are definitely signs that most people can look for. Especially most of the time we sit back and we watch other people and we watch their arguments and listen to some of their conversations even. And if you get that funny feeling, or if the person's sort of like giving you little gestures like, hey, I'm not okay. Sometimes it's best to take notice of those things, and you should say something. You should
Right.
say something, or definitely take notes of different things that you see. Ask that person questions, especially if they may work with you. Find out
Mhm.
what you can. A lot of people think you're being nosy and all, but you know, this day and age, we have to look out for each other. Um,
Absolutely.
I actually know of someone, and I'm not going to mention their name. I'm not even going to touch too deeply into who it is because I'd like to give people their privacy, but I do know of someone that this recently happened to. And they were in a long-term relationship. I would watch the banter going back and forth where they kind of, use certain words with each other. But it seemed to be cute. Where I thought was horseplay actually was abuse, and
Yeah.
we really need to pay attention. And I did get uncomfortable a couple of times, but then they would both be laughing and, oh,
Back
I'm
at it.
okay. Yeah, but then you start see a little bruise here, and they tell you the dog did it, or I fell down, and all these different things. Let's go 2 years later, and you actually hear about someone being taken out of town against their will, and that they were restrained in the midst of it.
Abducted
And
from
yeah,
them.
adopted,
Yeah.
basically adopted. And see me, I got so uncomfortable that I pulled away from the situation, stopped answering the phone, didn't want to hear about this or that. But it's that funny feeling that I feel bad about at this point
Hmm.
because, I am that guy that would tell you, I'll give you the advice, hey, it's time for you to get out of there. And then if I have to have a conversation with someone else, I definitely will,
Hmm.
so I mean, it definitely happened. Like I said, I can't give you the who, where, why, or what, but I literally saw that, and I felt a little guilt because I wasn't as opinionated as I
Hmm.
usually
Hmm.
am, and
Hmm.
say, hey, you need to get out of there. Yeah, I know that person, but it's time for you to steer clear.
Right.
So yeah, so
Wow.
that goes deep right into it.
Right. Well, I'm telling you, probably about, I want to say 15, maybe 15 years ago, uh, probably 15 years ago. I'm gonna be safe and say that when I started SKST, I opened up a location in Dallas, and we had our own suite and everything. And we would do. That's when we started doing our podcast, right, on Blog Talk Radio. And the guy that I knew from like roller skating days, college, high school, knew this guy from roller skating all the
Mm,
time. Knew this guy.
mm,
We sort of dated a little while, but just didn't pan out. Things just don't.
mm,
Sometimes it just don't work out. And ran into him, years later, and this is when I was doing the show and everything. So he would come up to the office, and we would be on the air and having fun, joking, and just
yeah.
having a good time, right? And it was a crew, because it was JBZ and all them, it was the crew.
Mm-hmm.
And one day my car broke down, and the guy came, and I only lived like 10 minutes away
Mm,
from the office, right? 10 minutes. And so the guy decided he wasn't going to take me home. He was going to take me to Oklahoma
oh my.
because you could get married there or something like that real fast without a license. I don't know what that was, but it scared the crap out of me because this is somebody that I knew.
Mm-hmm.
And my best friend Quita, we know him. It's like, wow. And I'm crying, and I'm like, you know what, dude, take me home to my son. Take me home.
Mm,
And I opened the door. I opened while he was on the highway. I opened the door. I was gonna literally jump out of the car.
wow.
He pulled me back in, and he goes, "I'll take you home." He said, "It's not that serious." I'm like, "Yeah, it is. You don't take people somewhere against their wishes."
You're threatening to take a person across state lines somewhere else and speaking about marriage. Yeah,
We
yeah.
wasn't on that level, like I said, we dated before. Now we're just friends, you're just on the show, and we're just having a good time. And so that happened to me, and it's scary, and it
Mm-hmm.
was a scary feeling at the time,
Mm-hmm.
and you were helpless. What can you do when you're in someone's vehicle and they're driving, and you're thinking you're just on your way home? It's just you and your
Mm-hmm.
purse. You know what I mean?
That could have gone a lot differently.
It could
Yeah.
have. It really could have. And thank God the person, wasn't that far gone that he realized and took me
Mm-hmm.
home. But I didn't want to see him ever again. Didn't ever want to talk to him ever again. I was done. Thank the Lord that he was watching over me to make sure that I was safe. But
Definitely.
it can happen, and it's people you know.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the sad thing. The this particular thing is people you know.
You know something? Now that you mentioned that, I'll go back and I'll tell a little story that had more to do with, um, well, you know what? This is about me, my family, my mother actually. Um, so my mother and father were separated when I was very young. They stayed married
Hmm.
for a number of years, but still they were separated, and we were clearly living in two different households. My father lived on his own, and my mother had her four sons with her. Single mother, young in her early 20s, and I think I was in first grade around this time. I was in school. This is about me. I was in
Okay.
school. um I wasn't having a good day in school. I seem to remember that feeling. We go back and think about things like that. And all of a sudden, someone comes into the classroom. It was quiet time. We all had our heads on the desk, you know, and all of a sudden my father was there. My father was there. And of course, I was happy to
Happy
see
to
my
see him.
father.
Yeah.
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 And he said, son, and I jumped into his arms and the people at school. So the laws are different now, of
Yeah.
course. That wouldn't happen now. But then a parent could literally just come in and say, hey, I'm here to pick up little Romy Foster or
Hmm.
what have you. And they would go with that. He took me. I thought we were on an adventure. I was with my father. I literally just had those clothes. Um, he had to buy me other clothes. I did speak to my mother periodically. What I thought was a very long time turned out just to be a few weeks in the summer, now that I know about what happened. But, you know, and my mother, she literally was like, you know, when I didn't come home after having the conversation with her, what is going on? He didn't contact her for another 2 days.
Wow.
For another 2 days. And it was because I asked to speak to my mother and my brothers. And him being my father, of course, he made sure that did happen. But they were, I heard them argue, but I was used to them arguing.
Right.
And they would clearly, you know, put us out the room and all that. So we were in a hotel room in Virginia Beach, it turns out. And every day he would go to work, and a young lady would come in and watch me, his girlfriend at the time or whatever. And I just, you
Didn't
know,
know
like, yeah, I had no idea. I was just with my father. But my mother, she said she was at her wit's end. She was, you know, he said he was never bringing me back, and that he was so far away that they couldn't find us anyway. She went to the police. The police were looking for me. It was a lot going on.
Wow.
And me being that the age that I was, I think it was like, what, 6 years old. I didn't know. I had no idea. And one day he just literally took me back to Portsmouth, Virginia, right? Downtown Portsmouth, Virginia, in Old Town. And he didn't even tell me where we were going. I thought we were going on another adventure. All of a sudden, my mother was standing at the end of the street. I see her, and I ran to her to hug her. And I turned back around to see, and he just walked away.
Oh,
And
wow.
she just, I remember how she hugged me. But just imagine how we hear the stories about things like that happening, and how that could have gone. I could have been separated from my family for, you know, the other part of my family for the rest of my life, honestly.
Yeah.
You know, you never know what a person is thinking. Why did he do that? Of course he wanted to see his son, but that's about control. You know, my father was a very abusive man. You know, he's passed now, and I definitely do love my father, but my mother and him had a very tumultuous relationship, and it was abusive. And my mother's a very strong woman. She had the forethought to, like, move us one day, literally, like, flee. And if she had not done that, things
Who
might be a
knows?
little different. I might be a different man if I was raised by my father, you know? So yeah, that goes into a whole nother situation. But look at those signs. Like, why were those laws changed? Because it happened so many times in the school system. Now you have to go and you have to be on the list. You have to, and if you're not on the list, the actual mother or father or guardian has to come and put you on a list. They have to know you ahead of time. No one can just come by and pick up a child from school because
Absolutely.
of things like that happening, those abductions and all. Another thing, where, you know, Cammie and I know each other from. I don't know if you know this story, but at one point, you know, sometimes in that setting, you see people hanging around, and it was a male and a young female, right? And she just looked uncomfortable. He was buying her things. It just didn't look right. One of the officers that worked with us, first name Diamond. You remember? Okay, so actually was looking at the situation, and she just called the police. She just called the police because she just felt uncomfortable. She told me she called the police and she didn't know why, but it turns out the young lady was kidnapped, and they had been looking for her for a couple of weeks. You know, and a few other things. You remember some things like that happening, like you know, but you'll be surprised at just, if you're uncomfortable about a situation, just make a phone call. You know, we call them what, the Karens and all that. Sometimes being a Karen or
It's good.
or Keith or whatever
Yeah,
is a
it's
good
good.
thing.
Yeah.
Say something. Open your mouth. See something. Say something.
Well, they
It
have
will
new
certainly save.
signs too.
Mhm.
Sorry, they have new signs too. I know one of them is, when you see somebody do that,
Yes, yes. Blink. Mm-hmm.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
that's a sign of I'm in a not safe situation.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Blink. Mm-hmm.
because you can't really give it away, but that's one
Mm-hmm.
discreet way, and I think it's another discreet way in the car. If you're in the car, I don't know what that one is. We have to look that one up, but I know
Yeah.
it's like the fingers or something that you hold up something when you're in
Mm.
the car. But I do know if you're sitting there with that person and you're in an uncomfortable, you can't do anything, and if you get the attention of someone, you can
Mm.
and kind of let them know real quick that this is not the situation. Hopefully, everyone's educated enough to know, oh, she's bad in her eyes. Either she got
Right.
something
A
in her
little
eyes or she's
too much.
not in a,
Right.
yeah, something's going on with her. So at least that makes awareness. And that's what we're talking about now. People
Mm-hmm.
being aware of what's actually happening in society today. So I was on the TikTok, my new favorite fun thing I like doing.
You're good
And
at
I
it too.
thank you. I'm getting there. A JBC. And
Yeah.
so I'm looking at this TikTok, and this guy, he's videotaping it, and the police officer is there, and he's like, she's in the house, the police officer was investigating, and the man was just talking. He was like, we heard this noise in this house. This lady was trying to get our attention. Well, come to
Mm.
find out, the lady was kidnapped
Mm.
and put
Mm.
in a
Mm.
vacant house, tied up, and the kids in the neighborhood said that they heard her screaming, but this man was continuously raping this woman. So he had her locked up, tied up in an abandoned house, and he was continuously raping this woman. And this good Samaritan called the police, and they found the lady locked up.
Mm.
And this was like a couple of weeks ago. Well, right during all this time when all this happened.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what made me
Yeah.
want to do this and bring it to the forefront. So it's like you never know. So I think that guy ended saying that they were going to go through every vacant house in that
Mm-hmm.
neighborhood because it looks like it wasn't a good neighborhood, where people are moving
Mm-hmm.
out type thing. So he said that they were going to go through every home to make sure somebody else is not locked up.
Thing was looking right. Wow.
So yeah.
And just guys, what do you? So I'm a grown man, 50
Mhm.
years old, right? I'm very cautious. I'm very cautious. I look at my surroundings. Because of my training, I sit to the back of rooms, just so I can see. I don't like people sitting behind me, and I'm not paranoid at all. I just know with the different things that have happened that things can happen.
Mhm.
Um, but I challenge everyone out there, when men, women, talk to your children. If they feel uncomfortable, if you see someone on a regular basis, that seems to be showing up, pay attention to that. If
Right.
your child tells you that it's someone that, like, ask your child questions. If they're going to the playground, if something's happening in school, they go to other people's homes and someone is showing up there. Ask questions, pull your child away, take note of things, write things down, put things in your phone, text your location to someone that you know if you're uncomfortable, actually where
Mhm.
you are. Use your cell phone, take a picture from behind. If you feel that someone, you're not being paranoid. You're not being paranoid, and that could literally save your life.
Yeah.
Literally save your life. Share your location with someone that you trust. They have these apps now, that people stay linked in and logged in, and they can see your whereabouts.
Yeah. Latitude.
Yes, yes,
Latitude.
and people use that a lot during the pandemic. So a lot of those things became more mainstream around that time. But these are tools, especially with your children. If your children have cell phones, you should know their location.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and of course, you're doing too much. No, you're not. You're not. You could literally save your
child's life,
child's
because you
life.
don't know what's going to happen.
Exactly. Your husband, your wife, knowing each other's location. Yeah, no one, everyone wants their freedom and all, but this is a new day and age. People are
Yeah.
literally being trafficked, kidnapped and trafficked to other countries, and so bought and sold
Yeah.
into slavery. Yeah.
Yeah. So
So I
yeah. So
mean, it's
whew, it's so
a lot
scary
to
though
unpack.
to think about the times that we're in right now. It's just
Mhm.
so how do you stay safe? How do you stay calm? How do you stay sane with all this that's going on? You know?
The person that was involved in that kidnapping that I spoke about earlier, and I had the opportunity to speak with them. You notice I'm being very vague.
Mhm. That's good.
But because they were in a long-term relationship, there was a certain comfort level still. Like they said that they didn't know what was going to happen, but they knew how to keep that person a little calm just by not saying certain things. And so if you know the person, go to your sense. How do you deal with this person on a regular basis? First of all, you don't want to agitate them, but sometimes they said, just like you did, you knew from that person I'm talking about you, Cammy, that
Hmm.
if I'm a little forceful, maybe you told them one time no about something else and they backed away.
Hmm.
And guess what? That's what saved you. With this person, they literally waited until they set their phone down and they had to use the bathroom one time. So the phone was sitting there, and she's in another, well, now I said she's in another state. She's somewhere else, right?
Hmm.
Um, so the person didn't think that she didn't have anywhere to go. She was in the car. She was nervous. She was scared. I'm not going to use the bathroom, boy. That's what she told me. She said, and
Hmm.
she act like she wasn't paying attention to the phone. She grabbed the phone. She called her family. She only had a couple of minutes. She saw him coming back out of the convenience store. She stopped it, to put the phone back where it was. He gets in the car. He looks at the phone, and he hits her because, oh, you tried to do. He couldn't tell. It was only a minute, but what the family did, because they knew she was gone for quite some time, and she used to talk to. Her routine was she would talk to her family every day or every other day around a certain time, right?
Hmm.
So if you're not hearing from someone, that's the first sign, especially if you're used to hearing from them and you need to go and look for this person or find out what's going on with this person. Don't think it's just by chance they're not calling you. But what they did was they tracked the location. They tracked the location, and thank goodness that person kept their phone on most of the time. They were making posts on Facebook. They were seeing the country and driving along and not showing any pictures of anyone. It was like they were by themselves, but they would like take little pictures of this and that. The police were able to track down the location through the phone. And they sent a message to the authorities in that area, and they were able to find exactly where they were, and actually found her tied up in the back seat. The person wasn't in the car with her at the time. But yeah, certain people even said that, hey, this person isn't coming to work. Hey, is something going on? Certain people called the police. Do you know? And I send you the news clip. That certain city, I'm not trying to upset anyone. That certain city, a police report wasn't even done about the person being missing, even though people were starting to ask questions and called the police and said, this is strange. This person isn't coming to work. They show up to work every day. This is strange. And there was a child involved. I still have this child, and the mother isn't contacting me. I need to know what's going on. So, I mean, I don't know different resources, the money involved, but we need to take it serious
Yeah. But you know
about.
what? Yep, that particular
Yeah,
city though, it's
yeah.
really bad because
Hmm.
I mean the police officers And
Mm-hmm.
we know a couple of them,
Yes,
but
we
at
do.
the end of the day, you get what you pay for. You know,
Yeah,
you don't
that's true.
have,
The
they
resource.
are stressed, they are short,
They are.
and they are
They
going
are.
through a lot. But I mean, I just saw another video
Yeah.
where they pulled a guy over who was driving an Uber,
Mm.
and he had picked up his passenger, and they literally pulled him over and pulled a gun on him, saying that he fit the description of yeah, of a crime that just happened. Yeah.
First of all, imagine how the person felt that was sitting in the Uber.
Yeah. So this guy was upset. I can show you that I can show you that video too. But
Wow.
at the end of the day, and the police officers looked very young. So again, you get what you pay for. You don't have the resources. So that particular city is really going through a lot right now. And
Mm-hmm.
so you can blame, but you can't really blame. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right. And
You know,
I'm first to say because of the industry that I work in, I work in the security industry. I'm not a police officer. But I truly respect the police. I do want to put that out there. I admire what they do. They certainly, in a pinch, they're the first line of defense, honestly.
hmm
And a lot of people are uncomfortable with calling the police because of different things that have happened that they've seen. But guess what? It's better to be safe than sorry. So I will still call the police if I need them. I will look at the time frame they might come. I'll take that into account. So I'm a fighter. I'm not a flighter. So I'm gonna do what I have to do to keep myself
right.
up. Yeah, fight or flight. I fight. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just being smart enough to know what you need to do and what works best for you. And yeah,
Yeah.
so yeah, I'm with you with that. The police are definitely stressing. I don't want to. This isn't a
A bash.
chance
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
to bash
Yeah.
them,
It's
right?
not, yeah. But at the end of the day, though, this person still was treated like a criminal, and it
Wow.
was a lot of cops around him. They drew their guns on this poor man. And
Mm-hmm.
he's like shaking and he's thinking, if I would have done one thing wrong, I would have
Mm-hmm.
been gone. I wouldn't have been able to come home to my family. I'm out
Wow.
here working, minding my own business, doing a, a, a great job at my
Mm-hmm.
job,
Mm-hmm.
looking out for the passenger in the back seat. And I'm thinking, I reached out to this guy and I'm going, hey, are you okay? Because
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know the person, but he was in the area. So I'm
Wow.
thinking, all I can do is give words of encouragement. Um, you know, Invite him to talk about what he needs to talk about on the show if he wanted to do that. But at the end of the
I'm ready
day,
for that interview.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Wow.
So, but at the end of the day, the guy was shaken up. I mean, it was two videos, and the one that he came back talking to his TikTokers, letting them know what had just happened. But yeah, I'll share those with you. I'll forward those to you
Mm.
when I find them again. And it was just kind of scary, so you never know what
Terrific.
you're up against. And he had a black car. A lot of people got black cars,
Mm-hmm.
and they said the person was a passenger um, in the back seat of the car. Well, this was a little old lady, or I don't know how old she was, but she was a lady. She looked older to me on the video. And
Mm-hmm.
the guy was like, are you okay? Asking her, is she okay? Looking out for his passenger. And he's like telling these guys, stay away from me. He's like, I'm freaking out right now. Y'all just,
You're doing too
and
much.
yeah. And the officer was steady trying to explain to him what was going on. And I swear to God, that officer reminded me of Gomez.
Oh my goodness.
He did. He did. He
Wow.
did. And so he was
Mm-hmm.
he was like, and the guy was like, dude, y'all give me somebody's name. He was just that
Mm-hmm.
upset. I feel bad for
Mm-hmm.
him. It's not funny, but I mean, but it's serious because now people are so scared. You don't know what's going to happen. And like he said, this could have went a whole total different way, and he was innocent.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you talking cars, not just a car, not just two police officer cars. Cars were surrounding him. So he said one jumped in front of him. Pretty much was blocking him to keeping him from going.
Mm-hmm.
And you can only imagine what that guy was going through and what he was thinking, and man, it's just,
Definitely. And
yeah,
you heard things like that, and we didn't mention if he was African American or not. That really shouldn't matter, but there's so many people heard these different stories. But going into that, and we're a little off subject, but at the same time, is if you're comfortable enough to even call certain agencies to help you with things, or trust those agencies. I most recently, I got a different car, and my back headlight was out, and someone like a black man, talking to another black man. I was getting gas, and he says, "Man, when you park your car and you stop your car, you got a back headlight out. Man, we're dark in the city." This is literally what he said. He said, "We're dark in the city. You need that light to be working. I need you to go and take care of that for me, man. I'm worried about you." And like, I was like, "Wow, it's just a headlight, but not. It's just a backup light, but." It was that serious, one black man to another, not to make it about that, but he was
yeah,
literally worried of what
for
might
you.
happen to me because of this headlight, this light being out on my car. So of course
Wow.
I took care of it, but it just goes to, those thoughts to where, I'm telling people, reach out, call the police. People are very uncomfortable with that. It goes into different conversations, but yeah, so even with security officers, um, me as a security officer, working as a security officer, I've actually seen parents literally tell their children, if you don't stop being bad, I'm going to get him to come get you. Well, guess what? Your child might need that person at some point. That
Don't
child might be
scare them.
missing,
Yeah.
right? Don't scare them. This, you know, police, security officers, they're your first line of defense. They're the first people that you should feel comfortable with talking to,
Hmm.
and you know, because I heard stories from both sides, the different things that they go through as security officers and police officers, and especially if they're armed or unarmed at that particular time, and what things look like. You're like a walking billboard for "I'm coming to get you." Your
Hmm.
uniform says to some people, "I'm coming to get you. I'm here to cause problems." Well, it's not supposed to mean that. You're supposed to think, okay, that's who I need to talk to if I need some help.
Okay. So
Yeah,
I believe, I
yeah.
believe this police officer was in the
Mm-hmm.
same city that we've been talking about. Text someone a threatening message.
Mm,
I believe that's the same city. I believe that, and so at
mm,
that point, if they're even doing that and texting people and threatening people and you in uniform, how do
mm.
you feel safe? How do
That's
you
true.
feel safe?
That's true. They're hard. At the end of the day, vetting the right people into those said agencies. It's very hard. We're in a hiring crunch. Getting the right people in to even be interested in working for your department or whatever. But all I'm saying is, Jesus, though those people had issues to begin with. And if that's not noticed and dealt with, these are the things that you run into. And they have so much power. I can
I don't know
barely
if you can
see
see
that.
that. Wait a minute. Just the heading. Let's see.
Oh yeah. Mm,
See that?
mm-hmm. Mm.
Yeah. Let's see.
Cammy can't make this stuff up. Wow. What?
Same city.
What?
Yeah. Yeah.
What?
Yeah. So how do you feel safe? How do you feel safe? And it's not even a racial thing.
Mm,
You know, it's hard to back the blue when you got a lot of blue people not doing what they're supposed to be doing,
right. Right.
you know? How do you feel having to arrest an officer of the law who's not upholding the law, who's breaking the law?
Sad days.
Yeah, it is. It
Sad
is.
days, sad times.
Yeah.
These are the people that's supposed to protect us. And they're out doing certain things, or
Right.
yeah,
Right. So then let's move on to trafficking. Okay,
trafficking.
so we had one of our uh, tenants, Mr. Lamel. He had a big event, and
Mm,
it was about human trafficking. So making
mm,
people aware, the awareness of human trafficking, and
mm,
so we wanted to. I just wanted to make sure people understand that if you're in the park, kind
mm,
of like the situation where this young lady was. If you're in a park and you see um, a car that has like this distinctive color
mm,
in the window, you know,
mhm,
you have to look up the colors. I don't know. I've seen what the color signs mean, but they're like, just say a red cap
mhm,
in the window. That's letting you know that I'm a part of the trafficking team.
mm,
So you're in the park and you see this car. It might be another car that have something red in the window too.
mm,
And they're
mm,
working together. They might not know one another, but they're working together.
mhm,
You know what I'm saying?
mhm,
So that's
mhm.
something to be mindful of when you're taking your child to the park.
Yes,
That's something to be mindful of because you see these cars at a kids park. Why are you going to see a bunch of adults there just sitting there?
doesn't make sense, and they don't have any kids with them at all. Yeah, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Be mindful of things like that
Mhm.
because the time you turn your back, I'm talking to you and my kid is on the slide and I'm looking back and my kid is gone from the slide now. You know?
Mm,
Or you're teenagers. You got these young girls and it's not just girls, it's guys too.
mhm, mhm.
So you got to be mindful and these teenagers you got to understand you're not invincible. These
No, you're
people will
not.
snatch you up out of there like a what's that song? Snatch.
Yeah.
you know? And
It,
so
and they actually sit back, having routines, going somewhere using the same route all the time. We have to teach our children even to change their route sometimes, do something different, go a
mhm,
different way. Maybe you give your child a ride to this place every once in a
mhm,
while, or take them to another place to work, because people sit back and they watch you, and as soon as they learn your routine, they see the different weaknesses in your routine. You walk in a certain corner at a certain time at a certain dark hour, and they will take you.
right,
It's
right,
happened
right.
in a male, female, older, young. They're just looking for attraction or certain attributes. That's all they're
Right,
looking for.
right. Well, going back to that lady that was in the house, they showed her. They covered her face, of course, but they showed her, and
Mhm.
she said that she recognized that guy.
Wow, look at that.
So it was someone that she had seen on the streets before. She
Hmm.
was walking to the store.
Hmm. He knew a routine, and he said, "Okay, this is my chance.
Hmm.
This is my chance." Wow.
And thank God he didn't kill her. He raped her several times, but thank God he didn't kill her. And so it's just something, guys, we got to be mindful of. And we're interested in your opinion. Hit the
Hmm.
comments when you get this on our YouTube, and give us your comments and tell us what you thought. And
Hmm.
we'll bring more series like this, and we'll invite more people to be a part of the forum, so we can
Hmm.
talk about and discuss it and find out what are the safe ways to make you safe. I think my biggest thing now is self care. That that's huge because we got a lot of mental attributes that's going on. A lot of people are killing themselves, and
Hmm.
I hate to say it, I feel like it's more. It was there before. It was there
Hmm.
before, but it's more now since the pandemic. And now gas is $5 a gallon. I mean, come on. Do I eat?
You're watching SKS.
Little commercial.
Ah, yeah. I don't think I did that though. Oh well, I was like,
You're watching
did they cut us
SKST.
off?
Yeah.
Like, okay, that was different. So, but yeah, so we need to be mindful and at the end of the day, we have to take care of ourselves because
Yeah.
a lot of people. Oh, what I didn't mention, I was going to talk
Mm,
about was the guy um, that was a police officer that I
mm,
knew in high school.
mhm,
It's been several years ago, but again, these are people and you never know that this is what's going on in their head. So
mhm,
this person, he ended up being a police officer. His wife left him, and I want to say she was with someone else. I don't
mhm,
know if they were married or not. I can't remember the story, but it's still you can still Google it because I Googled it not too long ago.
mhm.
Um, and he ended up killing her, her boyfriend, and the child, and himself.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, yeah. And that happened in Dallas, and it was sad because this guy was very smart, and he was a police officer. So
Mm,
you you can't say you know a person because that
right.
person don't know who they are. You
That's
don't
true.
know when you're going to snap. So
Mhm,
being abducted by someone who you just broke up with,
mhm,
that's their way of trying to keep you.
mhm,
Regardless if you want to be with them or not, at that point they snapped. And you can't control that. I mean, you
mhm.
can't predict it, unless they give you these warning signs, the early warning signs that like being abusive and things like that at the beginning of the
Mhm.
relationship. But like my situation, I wouldn't have known that guy would have done that. I've been knowing that guy for years.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have known he was going to try to do something like that. And I want to say I looked him up. Like I said, that's about 15 years ago. I want to say I looked him up, or he looked me up on Facebook or something, and he just said hello. And he didn't apologize. Well, he apologized a lot then, back during that time. But
Mhm,
come to find out, he's married again and have kid. Then had another kid or something like that.
mm.
But I think he was just going through something.
Yes.
He was just going through something at that time, and thank the Lord that he snapped out of it or whatever. But that was like scary. You don't know what could have changed, what could have happened. You don't know what could have happened. I could have been dead on that highway because I
Yeah.
could have jumped out,
Yeah.
because I wasn't gonna let you do nothing to me. I didn't want nothing done to me.
Mhm.
That was not gonna happen, you know. So, but anyway, that's it. False.
Yeah. Very good show.
I think
Very
so.
good show. Yes.
I think so. A
Good
great subject.
subject.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And we
So
look forward to, like Candy said, your comments.
yeah. Hit us up with your comments and let us know, and any other topics that you think that Foster and I can bring to the table. We're happy to
Definitely.
do it. We're happy to do it.
Remember to like and to subscribe
There you go. And share.
and share. A little
So
rusty over here.
there you go. You good. You good. You all good. Okay, guys, and we got big news this coming up too. We're gonna share it probably the last show of the month. We'll share our big news with you. That's gonna happen in August.
Mhm.
But yeah, we'll share it with you because we're gonna be off the air for a little while. For the month of July, we're gonna be off the air. So we're excited.
But when we come back,
It's gonna be on like a neck bone.
you guys are not ready. That's
Me and Romy, the team, we're gonna blow it up. We're gonna blow it up.
right.
So
That's
we're
right.
looking forward. What did they say? We're gonna make some boss moves. Is
Boss
that how they
move.
say it? We're gonna make some
That's
boss
right.
moves. I'm excited. I'm excited. Okay, guys. Next week, right here, SKST Radio, and I am Cami Grayson and
Antoine Foster. Or Ron Foster. That's
Ron
my government
Foster.
name.
He is rusty. We'll get him back. We'll get him back oil.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
guys. Have a good weekend, the rest of the weekend, and we'll see you next week right here, SKST Radio. Bye, Ron.